My stepbrother stole my $2,000 worth of gifts for his girlfriend. My mom defended him, but when I found out she used my $45K child support for him, I escaped at 3 a.m. and what happened next destroyed them. I'm 16 years old, I'm a sophomore in high school, and like 3 months ago I made the hardest decision of my life, but also the best one. I basically ran away from my mom's house in the middle of the night and drove 4 hours to my dad's house. And I know that sounds super dramatic and like I'm exaggerating, but when I tell you everything that happened, you're going to understand why I had no other choice. The thing is that my life now is completely different, and even though I miss some things about my old house and my old school, the truth is I'm much happier here with my dad. And that's something I never thought I'd say because I was always super close to my mom. Or at least that's what I thought. My parents got divorced like 7 years ago, when I was 9, and at first it was weird but not terrible. You know, like you adapt because you're a kid and you don't completely understand what's happening. I still saw my dad on weekends and everything was fine. Like my mom and my dad got along decently and there wasn't much drama. But then, like 4 years ago, my dad got this super big promotion at his job, literally one of those that completely changes your life, and he had to move like 4 hours away. I was 12, and obviously I stayed with my mom because I wasn't going to change schools and leave all my friends, and my dad completely understood. We started seeing each other less, like every other weekend or sometimes once a month, but we talked on the phone all the time and our relationship was still good. What I didn't know at that time, and this is super important to understand the whole story, is that when my dad got that giant promotion and his salary basically tripled or something like that, he started paying 20% of his income as child support. 20%. And my dad makes good money. Like he's a regional manager at a tech company or something. I don't know exactly what he does, but I know he makes quite a bit. So, we're talking about a very considerable amount of money each month that went directly to my mom, supposedly for my expenses, my clothes, my school, all those things. But I didn't know anything about this until a few months ago, and when I found out, everything started making sense in a way that made me feel literally sick. Like 3 years ago, my mom started dating this guy named Rick, and at first he seemed okay. Nothing special, but not bad either. Rick has a son named Carter, who's exactly my age, 16, and at first Carter and I got along more or less well. Like we weren't best friends, but we didn't hate each other either. After dating for like a year, Rick and Carter moved in with us, and that's when everything started to change, but in such a gradual way that I didn't realize it until it was too late. My mom started being like more distant with me, like she was always busy with Rick or defending Carter when he did something that bothered me, and I started feeling like a stranger in my own house. But I thought it was normal, like adjustments of living with new people and all that stuff, so I didn't give it much importance. Carter started dating a girl like 6 months ago, and he was literally obsessed with her, like one of those guys who completely loses his mind over a girl and does anything to impress her. I knew her because she went to my school, but we weren't friends or anything, and honestly, I thought she was okay. She seemed normal. But then I started noticing that my stuff was disappearing, and when I say my stuff, I mean expensive things that my dad would give me when we saw each other. First, it was some Nike sneakers that my dad had bought me on his last visit, like some Jordans that cost like $200 or something, and I was sure I had left them in my closet, but one day they just weren't there anymore. I asked my mom if she had seen them, and she said no, and when I asked Carter, he also said he didn't know anything, so I thought maybe I had lost them, or left them at a friend's house, even though I knew that didn't make sense. Then a hoodie from an expensive brand that my dad had also given me disappeared, and then some wireless headphones that were super good and cost like $150. I started feeling crazy, like am I seriously losing all these things or is someone stealing them from me? But I didn't want to accuse anyone without proof because that would have caused huge drama. Then one day, I think it was like 4 months ago, I was at school during lunch and I saw Carter's girlfriend, and she was wearing my sneakers, the Jordans that had disappeared from my closet. I recognized them immediately because they had a specific little stain on the right side where I had stepped in mud once, and plus they were a specific model and color that's not super common. I went up to her and said, "Hey, those sneakers look exactly like some I used to have. Where did you buy them?" And she got super uncomfortable and said her boyfriend had given them to her, meaning Carter. I said, "Do you mind if I look at them closer?" And when I bent down to see them, I confirmed they were mine. They literally had the same stain and everything. I took a picture of them and said, "Look, I need to talk to you in private. Can you come with me for a moment?" We went to a quieter place and I explained the whole situation, that those sneakers were mine, that Carter was my stepbrother, and that a lot of my stuff was disappearing. She went pale, like she looked super shocked, and she told me that Carter had been giving her a bunch of expensive gifts in the last few months, things she thought he was buying with his money but that she now realized were probably all stolen. I asked her to tell me what other things Carter had given her, and she started making a list, like the hoodie I was looking for, the headphones, and a bunch of other things that I didn't even know had disappeared because I hadn't looked for them yet, like a watch my dad gave me for my 15th birthday that I almost never wore, so I hadn't noticed it wasn't there. We agreed that she was going to confront Carter, but I told her I first wanted to talk to my mom and Rick because this was something serious. It wasn't like Carter borrowed something from me without permission. This was literal theft of things that were worth hundreds of dollars in total. That night I got home and waited until everyone was there. My mom, Rick, and Carter, and I told them we needed to talk. I explained that I had seen Carter's girlfriend wearing my stolen sneakers and that she had confirmed that Carter had been giving her many of my expensive gifts as if they were his. Carter immediately started denying it. Like he literally called me a liar to my face. But I had the photos of the sneakers, and plus Carter's girlfriend had already sent me photos of all the other things he had given her. I showed them the proof and Carter couldn't deny it anymore. So he changed strategies and started saying it wasn't a big deal, that they were just things and that I had a lot of clothes and a lot of stuff, so why did I care so much? And here comes the part that still hurts when I think about it. I expected my mom to explode, to yell at Carter, to punish him, to defend me. But instead she stayed quiet. Rick started defending Carter, saying things like, boys make mistakes, that Carter was just trying to impress a girl, that I was exaggerating because at the end of the day they were just material objects. And my mom, my own mom, didn't say anything. She literally just sat there without saying a word, while Rick lectured me about being more understanding and forgiving Carter. I said to my mom, "Are you seriously not going to say anything? Aren't you going to defend me?" And she just said something like she understood I was upset, but that I also had to understand Carter's perspective, and that maybe we all needed to calm down and talk about this later. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach, like the floor was opening up beneath me. I said, "Do you know how much all those things cost? Do you know how long Dad worked to be able to buy me those gifts?" And Rick had the nerve to say, "Well, if your dad has so much money, I guess he can buy more things." That's when something broke inside me. I realized that no matter what I said or did, my mom wasn't going to support me. She wasn't going to set boundaries with Carter or Rick, and she was basically telling me that their feelings and comfort were more important than me and my stuff and my dignity. I got up and went to my room, locked the door, and started crying. But while I was crying, I was also thinking, and I realized I couldn't keep living like this. It wasn't just about the sneakers or the clothes or the stolen things. It was about everything, about how they had treated me in recent years, about how they made me feel like I was a nuisance in my own house, about how my mom always prioritized Rick and Carter over me. So I took my phone and sent messages to my two best friends, explaining everything and telling them I needed to get out of that house that same night and that I needed help getting to my dad's house, which was 4 hours away. My friends are amazing. They literally didn't ask dramatic questions or try to convince me to wait or talk more with my mom. They simply said they supported me and that they were going to help me. The plan was that I was going to wait until everyone was asleep, like around 2 or 3 in the morning, and one of my friends who already had a car, her older sister lent her hers, was going to come get me. I started packing quietly, putting in my backpack and 2 suitcases all the clothes I could. My important documents, like my birth certificate and passport that my mom kept in her room, he had to wait until she was asleep to take them. My school stuff, photos, basically everything I considered important. I left all the expensive things I still had because I didn't want them to think I was also a thief. And besides, I didn't care about those things that much anymore after everything that had happened. At 2:30 in the morning, my friend arrived. She sent me a message and I left my room quietly with my stuff. The house was completely dark and everyone was asleep. I left a note on the kitchen table that said something like, "I'm going to live with Dad. Don't try to contact me." And that was it. I went out the front door, closed it quietly, and got in my friend's car. Another one of my friends was also there to give me moral support, and they both hugged me and told me I was doing the right thing. We drove the 4 hours to my dad's house, and I swear they were the longest 4 hours of my life, because the whole time I was waiting for my phone to ring, for my mom to wake up and realize I had left. But nothing happened. We arrived at my dad's house like at 6:30 in the morning. He lives in a nice house in a quiet neighborhood. And when I rang the doorbell, he was half asleep, but as soon as he opened the door and saw me there with my suitcases and my friends behind me, he knew something bad had happened. I said, "Dad, I need to live with you. Can I come in?" And he immediately said, "Yes, let us all in." Thanked my friends for bringing me. They stayed like an hour to make sure I was okay, and then they went back. And when we were alone, he made me coffee and asked me what had happened. I told him everything, from Carter stealing my stuff to my mom and Rick's reaction, and my dad was furious, like I had never seen him so angry. He was saying things like, "How dare she let them treat you like that? How can she allow that kid to rob you and then defend that guy instead of you?" And I just kept crying, because I had kept everything inside for so long. And finally, I had someone who listened to me and believed me and took my side. Then, my dad told me something that basically changed my perspective on everything. He said, "Do you know how much money I give your mom each month for child support?" I told him no, that I had never thought about that, and he told me the exact amount, and I literally almost fell out of my chair. It was a lot of money, like more than many families make in a whole month. I asked him, "Wait, have you been giving her that amount all this time? Since your promotion 4 years ago?" And he said yes, that it was 20% of his salary, and that legally he had to pay it until I turned 18, or until the circumstances changed significantly. He explained that that money was specifically for my expenses, my clothes, my food, my school activities, everything related to me, but that he had suspected for a while that my mom wasn't using all that money on me. He told me, "When I visited you and saw your clothes or your things, it always seemed weird to me that you didn't have more, especially considering how much money I was giving her. And now that you tell me that, Rick and Carter moved in with you right when I started paying that big amount of child support. I'm starting to think that your mom was using that money to support her new boyfriend and his son." That hit me like a ton of bricks, because it made a lot of sense. My mom never worked after the divorce. She lived on the money my dad sent her. And when Rick and Carter arrived suddenly, there was money for family vacations, which I often didn't go on because I had to visit my dad. There was a new car for Rick, they had remodeled the kitchen, all these things that I now realized were probably being paid for with the money that was supposed to be for me. My dad told me that if I wanted to stay living with him permanently, he was going to fight for primary custody, and that meant he wouldn't have to pay child support to my mom anymore. I told him yes, that I definitely wanted to stay with him, that I never wanted to go back to that house. So he immediately contacted his lawyer that same day. It was Saturday, but his lawyer is one of those who work all the time, and they started the legal process to change custody. My dad explained that since I was 16 years old, my opinion mattered a lot in court, and that the judge would probably respect my decision to live with him. Meanwhile, my phone was exploding with messages from my mom. She woke up like at 9 in the morning and saw my note, and started sending me super dramatic messages, like, "Where are you? Why did you do this? We need to talk. Come home immediately." But I didn't respond to her. My dad advised me to send her just one message, making it clear that I was safe and that I wasn't coming back. So that's what I did. I wrote her, "I'm with Dad. I'm fine. I'm not coming back. Please don't contact me for a while." And then I muted her on my phone because I didn't want to keep seeing her messages. The interesting thing, and this still hurts in a way I can't fully explain, is that as soon as my mom found out that my dad was requesting primary custody and that meant she wasn't going to receive child support anymore, she basically stopped trying to contact me. During the first 2 weeks after I left, she sent messages every day, called, left voicemails saying she missed me and that we needed to talk again. But the moment she received the legal papers from my dad and realized she was going to lose all that money, the contact stopped completely, and that told me everything I needed to know about her true motivations. She wasn't worried about me, she was worried about the money. Oh, and here comes the part that did give me a bit of satisfaction. I'm not going to lie. Remember Carter's girlfriend? Well, it turns out that after I left and all the drama exploded, she was super angry with Carter for lying to her and for using her to receive basically stolen things. So she decided to do something very public and very dramatic. One day in the school cafeteria, in front of literally everyone, she stood on a table and said something like, "I want everyone to know that Carter is a thief who gave me a bunch of stolen things from his stepsister to impress me, and that he's a liar and a fraud." And then she started taking out all the things he had given her. The sneakers, the hoodie, the headphones, the watch, everything. and put them on the table in front of him while everyone was watching. Carter was completely red, like he wanted the ground to swallow him, and everyone in the cafeteria was recording with their phones. My friends told me the whole story, because I obviously wasn't at that school anymore, and they sent me the videos. I'm not going to say I didn't feel a little bit good watching it, because I did feel good. After everything he did to me and the humiliation of my own mom not defending me, seeing Carter be publicly humiliated like that did give me some poetic justice, even if it sounds kind of vindictive to say it. The girlfriend gave him back all the things in front of everyone, and then she dumped him, and Carter became the laughingstock of the whole school. I guess in the end he got some karma for what he did. I started at my new school like 2 weeks after moving in with my dad. And at first I was super nervous because I didn't know anyone and I thought it was going to be horrible. But the truth is, it was much better than I expected. The school is smaller than my previous school, but the classes are better. The teachers are more attentive, and I managed to make some new friends pretty quickly. Plus, my dad has more time for me now that I live with him all the time, not just on weekends. So we do things together like watch movies or cook or just talk. And I realized how much I had missed having that kind of relationship with a parent who really cares about me and puts me first. The legal situation was resolved pretty quickly because I was already 16 years old, and I made it very clear that I wanted to live with my dad, and also because my dad had a very good lawyer, and also the story of the theft and my mom's lack of support didn't make her look very good. The judge gave my dad primary custody, with the condition that I could visit my mom if I wanted to, but he made it very clear that the decision was mine. And honestly, I haven't wanted to see her. I'm still very angry and very hurt about everything that happened, about how she chose Rick and Carter over me, about how she used the money that was for me, about how she didn't defend me when I needed it most. Sometimes I feel guilty for not wanting to talk to her. Like she's my mom. Aren't moms and daughters supposed to have a relationship no matter what? But then I remember everything that happened and how she made me feel. And I realize I don't owe her anything just because she's my mom, especially after how she treated me. My dad tells me that someday, maybe I'm going to want to reconnect with her, and that's okay, but that it's also okay if I never want to, that it's my decision, and that he's going to support me no matter what. I've been in therapy the last few weeks because my dad thought it would be good for me to talk to someone professional about all this, and it's helped quite a bit, honestly. My therapist has been helping me process all the feelings of betrayal and abandonment, and to understand that what happened wasn't my fault, that I had every right to leave and to protect myself from a situation that was toxic for me. She's also helping me deal with the guilt of walking away from my mom, because apparently it's super common to feel guilty even when you make the right decision. It's weird because sometimes I miss my mom, or rather I miss the mom she used to be before Rick and Carter came along, before everything changed. I miss when it was just the two of us after the divorce, and she would make me breakfast on Sundays and we'd watch movies together, and I felt like I was the most important thing in her life. But that mom doesn't exist anymore. Or maybe she never really existed and I was just seeing what I wanted to see. The mom I have now is one who chose money and her new family over me, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to completely forgive that. My dad says he's noticed a huge change in me since I moved in with him, that I seem happier and more relaxed, and I think he's right. I hadn't realized how much stress I was carrying every day in that house, always walking on eggshells, always feeling like I was in the way, always worrying that Carter was going to take something else of mine or that Rick was going to say something that made me feel bad and my mom wasn't going to defend me. Here with my dad, I don't have to worry about any of that. I can be myself. I can trust that my things will be where I left them. I can trust that if something bad happens, my dad is going to be on my side. Like 2 weeks ago, my mom tried to contact me again, sending me a long message about how she had been thinking about everything and how she wanted us to talk and maybe for me to come visit her. She didn't mention anything about an apology or about what happened with Carter or about the child support money. She just wanted us to forget the past and move forward. I didn't respond to her. My dad asked me if I wanted to respond to her, and I said no, that I wasn't ready, and that maybe I was never going to be ready. And he said that was okay, that I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to do. I guess what I learned from all this is that sometimes people are going to disappoint you, even people who are supposed to love you unconditionally like your mom, and that when that happens, you have to be strong enough to walk away and protect yourself. I also learned that family isn't always the people you share blood with. Sometimes it's the people who choose to be there for you and support you when things get tough, like my dad and my friends who helped me escape that night. I'm 16 years old and I feel like I had to grow up too fast, but I also feel like now I know who I really care about and who really cares about me, and that's something valuable even if it hurts. Last week was my 17th birthday, and my dad threw me a small party here at the house, invited my new friends from school, and cooked my favorite food. And it was perfect. Simple but perfect. There was no drama. There was no tension. It was just a happy day, surrounded by people who love me. My mom sent me a happy birthday message, but I just responded, thanks, and nothing else. My dad asked me if I was okay and if I missed having my mom there on my birthday, and I told him the truth. That I did miss her, but that I missed the version of her that doesn't exist anymore, not the person she became. He hugged me and told me he understood. And I know he does understand because he also had to deal with my mom's change in a different way. I don't know what's going to happen in the future with my mom, if someday we'll be able to have some kind of relationship or if this is permanent. What I do know is that for now, I'm where I need to be, doing what I need to do to be okay, and that's enough. Sometimes my friends from my old school send me updates about Carter. Apparently, still nobody talks to him much after the cafeteria thing, and about my mom, she's still with Rick. Nothing has changed there. But I try not to think about it too much because it's not my problem anymore. It's not my life. My life now is here, with my dad, at this new school, building something better, something where I feel valued and safe and loved without conditions. And after everything that happened, that's exactly what I needed.